So he said, tell me your story. So I told him
Yeah.
my story. And ended up about the glandular fever and hospital. It took about an hour and a half. It was an extraordinary experience altogether.
Well, it's quite rare that somebody's actually interested in listening to the story of your life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That in itself is a quite encouraging process.
Well, it's an encouraging process, and of course it holds the key. Because within that story, unbeknownst to me, I told him the very things he needed to know
Yes.
in order to understand the basic principle, what needs to be cured in this case. That's all the homeopath's really interested in, discovering. So, hour and a half later, little white packet, pill, take this. Let me know how you are on Monday, or something like that, he said. I took the pill.
And what was in the pill, do you know?
I do know what was in the pill now. I didn't at the time.
Okay.
I took the pill. The next day was Midsummer's Day, and my friends and I had organised a music festival at the site of another commune that we were involved with. Big place, huge numbers, big piece of land. And we had over 1,000 people there. And the fever came back. Temperature of 106, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I had the glandular fever back.
Yes.
In spades. Lasted about 12 hours or so. Disappeared. Rang Julian on the Monday, told him what had happened. Oh, that's fine. That's what I hoped for. You'll get better now.
It was clear that you get better now.
Well, the glandular fever had been burned out.
Okay.
I'd had 3 weeks of injections in the bum of antibiotics, and they suppressed the symptoms. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Admittedly, they saved my life, but they did depress the symptoms. And the remedy he gave me brought the symptoms back again and purged them. That was my first experience of homeopathy.
Okay.
And I was already deeply impressed.
Yeah. And then when did you next see Julian?
Probably about 6 months later, I think. I can't actually remember.
That is quite dramatic. You were feeling very low on energy. You'd been quite sick. You'd been in hospital. You took one homeopathic remedy.
Yeah.
You had a 12-hour, let's say, crisis, whatever you call it. Healing crisis. And then you're all right.
Yeah.
That's really a transformation, isn't it?
It's the first step for me.
Yeah.
It was unbelievably positive.
Yeah.
I started to regain my strength. I was cutting trees down in the garden in a week or two, digging huge bits of land up.
But Adam, did you wonder how it had worked at the time? It's almost like a miracle.
Well, of
isn't
course
it?
I did. I was going. I was saying to people around, I went to see Julian, and he gave me a pill, and this is what happened. And
Yeah.
It's amazing. I was getting quite boring, actually. People would say to me, "Oh, you're looking well. Oh, you're looking better. Da-da.
I should add that this is Julian Carlyon, who we did an interview with on Conscious TV, so his story is also available to watch. Yeah.
What I didn't know, well, I knew nothing at all about Julian for a start, and eventually, over a relatively short period of time, we met several times in a social way, and we became friends, very good friends, ultimately, and still are. And I asked him about his training. I said, how did you get to do this? He told me about his training with John de Monte and Michel Noland in London, and I went back to see him again. I had a long history of migraine headaches when I was young. Well, when I was 18 onwards, really.
So you went back to see him, what, you said 6 months later?
Yeah, I went back to see him 6 months later, and essentially I wanted to see if anything could be done about these migraine headaches.
Yes.
I think that was basically it. And he raised the business about my former history that we'd gone through earlier. and how I was and what had happened since, and in more detail, you see. Okay, so I told him that. And then he gave me another pill. By which time I'd learned more about homeopathy, and I knew about different kinds of potencies, the different, if you like, strengths of remedies,
Right.
or degree of potentization. And I said to him, and I knew that homeopaths needed to be cautious about these, because it can have a very potent effect. So I said to him something like, look, I don't care how big a potency you give me, whatever you feel like. Don't hold it back. I want to get better, sort of thing. So he gave me one, a single dose again, single remedy, little white pill, and it turned out, I found out later, that it was a very, very, very high potency indeed.
So when you say high potency, from what I understand about homeopathy, it's actually the weakest one is the highest potency. Is that right? The weak or the most? Have I got this?
Well, this is where the weakest bit comes in, because it's to do with dilution.
Exactly. The more diluted it is, the more potent it is.
Yes, but because dilution is only part of the process.
Okay.
The other part of the process is called succussion, which essentially is shaking in a particular way the liquid.
Okay.
And Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, said you should pound it into a leather-covered Bible. The bottle. A leather-covered Bible is exactly the right density. This was Hahnemann a long time ago.
Okay, all right.
We don't do that anymore, but obviously.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
So that potency starts off. It's either 1 in 10 drops or 1 in 100 drops.
Yeah.
And then you take 1 drop of that, and then you take it to the next stage. You go through it again. Well, it actually goes up to about 100,000 dilutions and succussions.
Right.
Right. And I got one right up there from Julian II.
It's ironical that in a way, the least that's in there, the most potent it is.
Yeah, but it's all energy.
No, I understand that. Yeah.
I know you understand, but I mean that's the bit that people find difficult.
Yes. Yeah.
They can't understand how you can do that and actually make it stronger or more potent.
We'll come on to this later. Let's continue the story for the moment. Yeah. So you were given this remedy again.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I took the remedy. I went to bed that night. I had a girlfriend living with me at the time, and I woke up the next morning, and the bed was in the corner of a caravan like that, you see, and I was curled up in that corner, and I was soaking wet, and my girlfriend was saying, "What's the matter? You know, what's going on?" Da-da. I said, "I don't know, what are you talking about? Well, you've been crying all night." "Really? Feel the pillow," she said, "it's soaking wet." And I was literally curled up.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. That went on, I think, for about 3 or 4 weeks. And after about a week, she said, "I'm going to send for Julian, find out what's going on."
So you were crying every night for three.
I was crying in the day as well.
Wow.
And I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't talk to the people.
And how did you feel in yourself?
I'm sorry this is a cliche, but I felt broken-hearted.
Okay.
I felt that my heart had broken.